I'm doing good. How are you doing?
What are you doing now? Where you stay now?
I'm in Maung, hey?
In Mau now.
Yes.
And this morning you have in the country.
Yes, I was I
country.
was exactly seeing that just 2 days ago.
What do you see this morning?
This morning, unfortunately, just traffic. I was just in Maung in the office doing some office stuff. But yeah, yesterday it was a good day. It was a different day.
Victor, you right near is Swana.
Yes, I'm actually a Mutswana, yeah.
But you are Swana too, or you are another ethnic group?
Actually, there's a tribe. You know, we've got about 8 tribes in Botswana. I belong to one of the tribes that be in the northwestern part of the country called the Batawana.
Okay, Jofra, all for you.
Vale, una cosita, ¿se está viendo por pantalla?
Sí, perfectamente.
Vale. Víctor.
Yes, sir.
When you can start your experiences and talk about that, is your turn.
Okay. Folks, good afternoon. What a beautiful language that you folks speak. My name is Victor Horatius. I'm a head environmentalist working for Belmond Safaris. I was born and raised in the northern part of Botswana, which is Maung. Maung is actually on the southwestern part of the Okavango Delta. The Okavango comes all the way from the northwestern part and trickles down. So you can actually say I was brought up in the edges of the Okavango Delta, and it's a very pristine area, if I can say, growing up and seeing the changes of all these waterways arriving in winter when the rains have actually stopped. And then when the rain starts, the rivers are actually drying. So the changes of the migratory birds and animals following all these waterways have been just so phenomenal growing up where you can say the delta stops in the Maung village.
Okay. Okay. We are, as I told you yesterday, I think it's better if we can talk about the Okavango Delta, in which part is there and we can find there. And then we are talking about the weather and different seasons that we can find there. And finally, I think the most important is the wildlife and the different animals that you can spot there, and the different kind of safaris, you know, by boat, by 4x4, and as you want. You can explain about that.
Okay, great. The Okavango Delta lies in the northern western part of Botswana, and its origins, it's in the highlands of Angola. You know, Angola receives approximately 1,400 millimeters of rainfall in a year. Botswana, or the northwestern part where the Okavango Delta is, receives approximately 400 to 600 millimeters of rainfall a year. But this year has been an exception. This year we're getting a lot and lots of rainfall. So we're probably going to be getting up to about between 8 to 1,000 millimeters of rainfall in a year. So what this means in the Okavango Delta is that in winter, when the floods coming in from the highlands of Angola reaches us in the Delta, it's just going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a lot of water, a lot of grasses, obviously, that would actually stimulate a lot of insects. The bird life is going to be good, and it all trickles down onto that. As you can see on this image here, this actually shows the Delta in winter, which is when it's peak. But now you can imagine with the amount of rainfall that we have currently, with that floods coming in from Angola, which usually reaches us around about April, May. And I think this year is going to be a lot earlier reaching the Okavango Delta. So it's going to be a very amazing place to see. So when this water comes in, it gets channeled through a parallel fault line, which is what we call the Okavango River. And then it goes down south for at least about 100 meters, for 100 kilometers, and then hits a fault line. It's actually a slab, which is the tectonic that has gone down. and the water start to spread. That's what you were seeing in that last image there, where the water start to spread out and creating what is the largest inland lake in the world at about 18,000 square kilometers at its peak. And it attracts a lot of wildlife. As you can see in this image here, you know, the zebras that comes down. I mean, there's the bird life, the amount of predators. It's just an amazing place to visit. I often get asked when is the best time to visit the Okavango Delta? You know, from let's say from October. Okay, this is a beautiful map there that shows how the Delta, and this is where Botswana is. It's written really proper there. Initially, way back in the days, the Delta used to pass through all the way from Angola and passing through Botswana, through Proto Limpopo into the Indian Ocean. But due to all these tectonic movements that took place over 5 million years ago, when the Okavango was captured, actually Greater Limpopo, the Motlote there were captured. They created the largest inland lake. The Zambezi was also part of it was believed the Zambezi used to also pass through Botswana. About 5 million years ago, there was a blockage, tectonic plates coming together, creating a largest inland lake called the Makgadikgadi Super Lake. It was about 180 to 100,000 square kilometers. It was massive. But about 20, 30,000 years ago, the Delta is what you see now. This is approximately about 20, 30,000 years ago, when the Zambezi diverted and going that way, and the Okavango River remaining the only water flowing as if it's going to pass through the Limpopo into the Indian Ocean. So that's how the Delta is actually a baby, if you can look at of the evolution of the river. So it's about 20, 30,000 years ago. Are they? Okay. There you go. That's actually looking at this map here. You can see the Kubango and the Quito on the side on the slide on the right there. That shows where the rivers do meet just before it enters Botswana. And as it enters Botswana, obviously the river is called the Kubango, and as it enters Botswana, it changes the name into the Okavango River. You can see the catchment area. Actually, on the slide on the left there, you can see all these dotted lines. That's actually a very good map. It shows what we call the Bango Zambezi Transfrontier Park, you know, one of the largest in the world. And if you extend that going down South Africa and a little bit in Namibia, it's actually part of the Kalahari Sand Basin, which is the largest sand in the world, the largest continuous sand stretch in the world. That's up from northern side of Cape Town in a little town called Uppington, covers 80% of Botswana, a little bit in Namibia, Zambia, Angola, all the way to DRC. So the Okavango actually sits or passes through the Kalahari Sand. If we did not have the Okavango River coming through, our habitats or this beautiful wetland would probably be the same like in Namibia.
Okay, right. And then you can see the the center of I think it's the same map than before. Yeah, you can see the rainfall season, and which is the best season to go there and spend. I don't know if there are many differences between dry and wet season, and which kind of animals or wet or spotlights we can see in dry and wet season.
January, February, it's usually our rainiest months, and you can still get out on the drive. The grass is all green. There's a lot of baby animals, you know, a lot of antelopes, impalas, and wildebeest, tsessebes have got their young ones. And wild dogs, remember, wild dogs are only breeding once in a year. So they breed in winter. They have puppies in winter. So by this time, their babies are able to run around with them. So from November, December, January, when impalas start to give birth, it's a chance for these young wild dogs, pups, to be following the parents, and they hunt these baby impalas and everything. And the bird life, all migratory birds from January, February, March, and April, all these migratory birds would be in. And as soon as it starts to get cooled down, run about towards the end of April, May, June, July, which is our winter, and we don't have rainfall, the grass goes lower and the greenery slowly dies away. You start getting beige colors. And from May, June, July, August, September, even October, the grass will be very flat. There won't be a lot of water collected in the woodlands. So the animals tend to concentrate a lot in the delta, and the grass gets shorter, the leaves from the trees starts to fade away, so visibility gets less. When you get to off-road as well, this time from May, June, July, August, it makes life easier. There's not a lot of branches, and you can see where you can actually follow the tracks easier. And from May, June, July, August, it's actually at one of the peakest time of the floods in the Okavango Delta.
Okay, right.
And then you get down to, okay, sorry, that's actually beautiful. And then you obviously from August, September, October, the temperature will be slightly on the high, but also the concentration is getting more. The elephants are starting to come big in good numbers, as you can see in this image here. So as they come down to the water, to the permanent waters of the Okavango.
Okay. And then I think we are going to talk about the wildlife. I think is one of the most important issues for you, and you have a lot of experience about safaris, and then talk about different kind of animals and in which season we can find, as you told, elephants in dry season or wet season, or talk about that, about the wildlife.
Cool. Yeah, the delta, as I mentioned, it's a very big area, depending on where you are visiting. You get that some drier parts of the Okavango Delta where they don't have, or the parts that don't have deep waters or doesn't have a lot of water, like you've heard of the Chiefs Island, which is much drier, which is still within the Delta, but it's on the drier side. You get down to the further south part of the Delta. But the wildlife to expect in the Delta at different times of the year, let's say during the rainy season, you'll still get elephants, but they're not going to be in good numbers. You still get good lions, these occasional leopards. But if you really love elephants, you have to visit it when it's very dry. There's a beautiful time of the year to visit where you can actually venture up on a mokoro, which is like this would be in winter. I mean, getting the red lychee running through water. The beautiful open floodplains like this floodplain where you see here with the red lychee during it's actually because of the rains, it started getting water, but usually it wouldn't be having any water. But usually June, July, August, that's when you get to see that. And this is like after the rains, you get the
from December to March, right?
Yeah, I'll say from December to this second slide here. After the rains, I'll say from like now, let's say we started the year, January, February, March, the rain stopped. And then March, April, May, June, July is the driest time where the grass will be low. And the water from the pan starts to dry. So the animals get to be concentrated. So this is the typical Delta picture showing when the floods are in. Like most places will be able to do motorboat as from May. Most parts of the Okavango Delta would be, even April, looking at the amount of rainfall we are getting, from April, May, June, July, August, September, maybe, a lot of places in the Delta, you'll be able to do the motorboats, and obviously a lot of them would be able to do mokoros. And I've been walking, because the grass will be shorter, and there won't be a lot of wet pans in the woodlands where you could actually conduct some walking safaris. Walking safaris can be done, mokoros can be done, motorboats can be done, and unusual sightings of cats in the water, which I've been very privileged to witness it in a lot of times actually in my guiding career. Running through water as well as wild dogs, and then like I said, the amazing interaction, the behaviors, the sunsets are amazing. There's not much clouds, so it's different. And then you get to a time where the Delta waters start to recede, and the bird life gets attracted to all these waterfalls, what we call the fish traps, not that we set in traps, and they just go crazy. This time we get these beautiful come and be eaters. They're still here. They come and they breed here. And in around about April, May, they started to make their way back to West Africa. So the bird life, we've got close to about 450 bird life in Botswana.
Victor, is certainly that the Simba, the lion in Botswana, is the bigger lions of Africa?
Yes, the lions in the Okavango Delta, because they spend a lot of time in the water, they get a lot muscular. Their shoulders are big, and they are huge. And then if you get to the Kalahari, that's where you get the big mane black mane lions in the Kalahari. But in the Delta, the body size is huge, and occasionally you can actually get some big mane in the Okavango. Yes.
And you know the big brothers, big five brothers coalition of lion in Okavango, you know?
You know, not in the Okavango as such, but we've got another camp in the Linyanti where there were five
Linyanti,
boys.
the big coalition is in Linyanti, no in Okavango.
Yeah, it's in Linyanti, but the five brothers have actually broke. Three went into the Okavango Delta and Kwai, and the two remained in Savuti. Yeah, so unless if there's another pride, you know, we've got so many prides. Like I just came back from the Eagle Island Lodge a few days ago, and there's a pride there of about 15 lions.
15?
1-5, yeah.
1-5.
So that's a good size. Yeah, I mean, an experience like this where you have to drive through water, it's you don't get to do that often, and the red leech is on the background. The wild dogs, by the way, the wild dogs in the Delta have been just amazing. I think because of the water around this whole thing and not being able to go closer to human settlements outside the protected areas. The wild dogs are just so amazing in the Delta. We've got the best wild dog sightings, I'll say, in Southern Africa.
I think that the Okavango Delta is the best site to see the wild dogs in Africa.
Exactly, that's very true.
It's very, very nice. And the ecosystem of Okavango is a part of the Moremi Game Reserve, no?
Yes, Moremi Game Reserve actually covers most part of the Okavango Delta. It's within that, and you also have private concession in the outskirts of the Okavango Delta, like one of our property, which is on the border. Actually, two are on the border of Moremi Game Reserve. So yeah, the Moremi Game Reserve is within the Okavango. Yeah.
What's the difference to make a safari into the public area or the private area in Okavango Delta?
The private concession is the advantage is that you can go out earlier before sunrise and come back after sunset, and you can do a little bit of a night drive. You can do a little bit of walking safaris. You can do off-roading, minimal off-roading for high-profile animals. While in the national park, you cannot do that if you are doing a safari unless if you've got a permit that permits you to do that. And it's a very expensive permit. You have to apply for it and explain why you're doing it. But yeah, those are the differences. And in the national parks, you'd find that if you go inside Moremi, you'll be restricted movement-wise. You have to be back before sunset. But if you are on the edges of Moremi in the private concession in the Delta, you'll be able to go out.
Jofre, ¿tienes algún vídeo de los que pasó Víctor o no lo ha visto?
No, porque iba muy lento. Se queda un poquito colgado.
No obstante,
quería preguntarle una cosita. Víctor, I think
yes,
we have 3-4 minutes, and I think you can explain us which kind of properties, as an environmental head of Belmond in Okavango, which kind of property we can find there, or we can spend, or we can, you know, if there are, which kind of lodges and.
Thank you. We do have, if you do have to visit, and I promise I'll come and host you. You start up with we've got a quite private reserve, and this image the image that just passed there, it's actually was shot in Kwai. It's in the border of Moremi, so there you can do some walks, and it's called Kwai River Lodge. It's a beautiful one of the oldest camps in the system, and like I said, you can now be able to do Moremi as well as outside and be able to walk. We do have another property right in the heart of the Delta called Eagle Island Lodge. It's been made in such a way that it didn't cut any trees, and it's 100% solar. You know, all the gray water it's got broken down through microbes, and we do not leave air that doesn't belong in the Delta. All the used oils, we remove them and take them for proper disposal. And then another property that we have, which is beautiful to combine depending on what time you want to come, it's actually in the Savuti, in the Chobe National Park, which is known for the big prides of lions. Savage Kingdom was shot there, the documentary Savage Kingdom. It's where the prides of lions get up to about 23 lions in one pride. So those are the three properties that we operate. And Savuti as well, we are green, you know, everything is all solar. generators only if you need to.
It's,
Okay.
Laura said it is amazing how close wild animals are to the people. It's very close when you make a safari in Okavango. It's very close, the animals, no?
Yes, Laura, you get very close. You know how we do it. If the animal is relaxed, you wait for it to come towards you. It sees us as one big component of the vehicle. Look at this tent. They do visit you as long as you remain quiet, and they don't bother. They just pass.
Victor, many thanks for your cooperation.
Thank you so much, Victor, for your time.
Digo que colgaremos mañana un vídeo, colgaremos el vídeo de la charla, pero os colgaremos paralelamente también los vídeos que nos ha enviado, que, bueno, entender que está en Mahón, que es muy difícil y muy complicado el tema de ahí el 4G cuesta que llegue y no han podido pasarse. Nos ha llegado muy baja resolución, entonces he preferido que nos lo envíe de nuevo y mañana cuando colguemos su vídeo con el vídeo del Delta del Okavango vais a ver esa famosa coalición de un padre y 5 y 4 leones machos adultos en la zona, tanto en la zona de Moremi, él nos explicaba que ahora se han dividido, hay dos en la zona del Quai. Quai es una parte de Moremi, el Delta del Okavango es otra parte de Moremi, patrimonio de la humanidad, reserva de la biosfera, un lugar único en el mundo. Mañana tendréis colgado el vídeo y lo podéis ver. Víctor.
Hello.
Do you saw, no?
Yeah.
Do you saw, no? It's possible in May, is not in September, October.
Are you gonna come and see me in May?
Yeah, it's possible.
I would love that. You know, unfortunately with this pandemic, and I hope it gets sorted, then everybody is more than welcome. And I promise you, if you say you're coming from Wild, I'll come and host you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you. Gracias, Víctor. Gracias, Jofra.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, amigo Rafiki. Muchas gracias. Amigo. Digo que, Jofra, que no, te queda a ti una persona que mañana nos traes, mañana sábado también va a estar con nosotros Malú, una periodista de National Geographic que nos va a hablar de otro lugar del mundo único. Imagino que también una persona de campo que está debajo del agua en este momento, pero imagino que también tenéis preparada una charla y una presentación, ¿no?
Sí, estamos trabajando con ella. Lo que pasa es que, como bien dices, está bajo el agua y es complicado contactar con ella. Pero cuando salga del agua ya tenemos...
No, pero la presentación sí que la vi que había llegado, ¿no?
Sí.
Muy bien, te quito el permiso porque ya continuamos nosotros. Gracias, Jofra, gracias a todos. Y vamos con nuestro siguiente invitado. Ya os había comentado al empezar que teníamos a Víctor, agradecimiento. Él no tiene allí en el camp, no tiene ni... funcionamos con teléfonos satelitales y con electricidad de generador. Es una suerte que se haya podido acercar hasta Mahón, casi 4 horas del campo donde estaba, para tener una charla con él, que podíamos haber grabado, pero el directo nos gusta muchísimo más. Un chico que empezó en el campo casi barriendo y pudo ir a la escuela, pudo ir a la universidad y es jefe de todos los guías, jefe ambientalista de todos los guías de los campamentos de Belmond en el